Okay, this is the fourth face cloth in my series. This one is called Bluebell face cloth. What makes this one interesting is, as you can see in the picture, it's got some really nice texturing along with the holes. It takes into account the knitting and purling in the same row, plus yarn overs, and knit two together. So this was the fourth one in our line of progression from easy to advanced. What I like about this one is on the back, it almost looks like a little rib stitch, and that's what causes it to shrink in. So that's why this one is very important to go ahead and block so it'll stay in its position. So I'll go ahead and get started, and we'll start at the bottom like always. We'll do our cast on 54 stitches and then do our rolls, and then we'll continue on with the pattern as we go. Well, at this point we've completed the beginner patterns. This one is the eyelet edge. I did ladies face cloth. The back is all done in purl. Then we did the one here with the staggered eyelets, which gives it a different look and texture. Of course, the back is all purl, which gives another look. The one we're going to do now is called the Bluebell rib. It's a cute little rib. If I bring it up a little bit, you can see it has a little texturing on the front, and the back is all purl, of course. So we're going to get started. Okay, to start with, we cast on 54. We knit 8 rows, but we increase 5 stitches evenly across the 8th row, so we're back up to 39 again. So this way, this one should be roughly the same size as the first 2. This one I'll go ahead and do it purple. Let's see, get this down a little ways here. So usually about 18 inches of yarn or thread gives me about 25 stitches. So that's 18 and 18. I'll do a little bit more. I like the long tail cast on, and whenever I do the long tail, I always have to have quite a bit. You can always cut off the leftover. It's easier to have a little bit left over to cut off than to have to tear it all apart if you're doing 200-300 stitches and then start all over again. So we would cast on, what did I say, 54 stitches, just like we always have. You can choose whatever type of cast on. You can do the long tail cast on, the other cast on, the basic cast on, the cable cast on. I mean, there's a multitude of different ones that you can use. I just like this one because it basically knits your first row. Now, I never count it as a knit row. It's just entirely up to you. If you want to count it as a knit row, you're more than welcome to. If you just want to count it as a cast on row, it works the same. It just gives you the chance or the opportunity to choose which way you want to do it. I got into the habit of not counting it as a roll. And then after you get quite a few stitches on, then you can count it. You know, when you got a bunch of stitches to do, it's easier to put a whole bunch on and then count than try to count every single one. Now, if I wasn't talking, I would probably count every single one. But since I'm talking, it's kind of hard to do that. Every now and then I have to let it go and let it re-twist up, because it slowly untwists as I cast it on. Don't know why, but that's what the yarn does. Some yarns do, some yarns don't. Let me see what we have here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40, 42, 44, 45. We're getting close. 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. I got 4 more to do. 51, 52, 53, 54. And I have a little bit left over, so I'll just trim off some of it because I don't need that much. And then the pattern says to knit the next 8 rows. So I'm not going to stand here and bore you with knitting 8 rows. I'll just go ahead and pause the video and knit the 8 rows. And in the 8th row, that's the one we want to do the 4 stitch increase. I think when I get to the 8th row, I'll come back and show you how I figured to be able to do the increase and have the increased stitches evenly placed across the roll. So it makes it, instead of 54, we'll have 59 stitches. And then we'll start going into the pattern. Okay, I've got 7 rows knitted. Now I'm ready to start row 8. Row 8 is where we increase 5 stitches evenly across. And since 5 goes into 55 about 10 times. We're going to do our increase every 11 stitch. So that would be 11, 22, 33, 44, and 55. So that might be a little bit too close. So maybe we'll do like every 8th stitch, because 8 times 5 is 56. But the last 8 won't matter because we're not going to do any more increases after that. So we're going to do an increase every 8th stitch on this particular one. And it should come out roughly right. Let's look and see. Let's do a quick count. 4, 6, 8. There's 1. 2, 4, 6, 8. There's 2. 2, 4, 6, 8. That's 3. 2, 4, 6, 8. That's 4. 2, 4, 6, 8. That's 5. Then we got 2, 4, 6, 8, but we still got quite a few left. So if we wanted to, we can do every 9th stitch and it might come out right. So let's try that. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. There's put one increase here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. So that's 2 increases. 2, 4, 6, 8, 3 increases. 2, 4, 6, 8, 4 increases. 2, 4, 6, 8, 5 increases, and then there's still about 8 left over, so it looks like 9 is the magic number. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll increase this a little bit, change to a white background. So we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and increase in number 9. Then we do same thing again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and the increase is you knit in the front and the back loop of the same stitch. And that makes 2 increases. So let's do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we do an increase where we knit in the front and the back loop of the same stitch. Do another one. That made 3. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now this will be the 4th increase. We knit in the front and back of the same stitch without taking the stitch off the left needle till you've done both. And we got to do one more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we're doing an increase in this one, so we knit in the front and back loop of the same stitch. And we got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 left, so it works out just right. Just a little bit of counting will help you, and never, you always want to have one extra set of stitches after your last increase of roughly the same amount. If it's not quite the same amount, it'll still work. You just want to try to get it as comfortably evenly as possible. Okay, so there. Now we've got 8 rows. So now we're going to start the actual pattern. The pattern is 6, oops, let me move it over. The pattern is 6 rows, 6 row repeats. And there's repeats inside of each of them. So anything in a parentheses is repeated. Either repeated a certain amount of times, or in this case, repeated to the last 6 stitches. So we're going to knit 6, purl 2, and then we're going to knit 3, purl 2 to the last 6 and knit the last 6. So let's go ahead and get that started. Knit 6. I know what I'll do. So if I do this, kind of keep us on track and not have all the other sentences in our way. Let me move back up here. There's 4, 5, 6. Now we're going to purl 2, which means we're going to bring the yarn to the front. we're going to purl 2 stitches. And then we're going to put the yarn to the back. Now we're going to repeat, knit 3, purl 2. 1, 2, 3, bring the yarn to the front, purl 2. Okay, and then we're going to knit 3. It's very repetitious, but you got to be careful you don't get your rows mixed up, because then your design is going to be off. And that means you have to rip it back out so you can redo it again. So it's easier to take your time, enjoy your knit, and get all your stitches correct. You see how I'm taking the yarn to the back after I purl 2? And bring the yarn to the front, purl 2, and take the yarn to the back, knit 3, yarn to the front, purl 2, yarn to the back, then bring the yarn to the front. We're going to purl 2, yarn to the back, yarn to the front. Now if you accidentally forget to take the yarn to the back after you purl and you go straight to a knit and do this, you see what happens? You get a yarn over right there. So if you ever see a funny stitch that's kind of on an angle as you're knitting, that's what happened. You forgot to bring your yarn to the back before you did your knit stitch. Okay, and the same happens if you purl. See, it causes that funny little stitch. When you see a funny little stitch, then you know you forgot to put the yarn in the front or the back before you switched from one stitch to the other. That's why you kind of have to be a little extra careful and watch what you're doing. Don't get comfortable and start daydreaming, because that's when things happen. Okay, I think we're down to the last 6. 2, 4, 2, 4, 6, right, and then we knit 6. Okay, row 1 is done. It doesn't show much. You can just see some bumps and some smooth spots. Then when you do the next one, now most of the time on the back it's purl across into the last 6, but in this case the back side is actually purling and knitting instead of just all purl. So you have to watch this pattern. That's why I put it up on kind of a intermediate, because you have to watch where your knits and your purls are. So let's start with a knit 6. Okay, so now we're going to knit 2. Even though we've already knitted 6, we're going to knit 2. That helps keep our pattern correct, because when you get to this end here, you'll have a knit 2 here to go across next to your knit 6. So by writing it this way, it kind of helps keep our rhythm going. Okay, now we're going to purl 3 this time and knit 2. So we're basically purling on top of the purls on the back side and knitting on top of the knits on the back side. There's our 2. 1, 2, 3, knit 2, and we're just going to continue repeating this all the way across. Okay, we're just going to keep going across. Knit 2, purl 3, until we get to, there's 6 of them, or 2, 4, 6, and then the, okay, we knit the 2, okay, and then that brings its twos are 6, 2, 4, 6. Okay, and those 6 are knitted. I hadn't completed the purl 3 knit 2. If I completed that knit 2, then I wouldn't have had to wonder why I was off by 2, because actually I wasn't. Okay, so you can kind of see a little bit the design. So you got one design there and a different design here. Now if we go to row 3 looks like it's a repeat of row 1. And then row 4 is a repeat of row 2. Row 5 it's going to change. So we're going to do row 3, which is repetitive of row 1, which is knit 6. And then we're going to purl 2, which is right there. You can see the little bumps, so you know the purl 2 is correct. And then we knit 3. There's our 2 bumps, so those are the purls. Now when we go to this, you see how smooth they are? There's no bumps. Those are the knit stitches. So we'll knit those 3. It's almost like doing a rib. The first 4 rows, and then the 5th row is the one that gives you this character design here. But this gives you a chance to practice your knits and your purls and moving your yarn from the front to the back and from the back to the front. Okay, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. Okay, I skipped ahead to row 4, which is knit 2 and purl 3, which is the same thing as row 2. So rows 1 through 4 are repetitive. So that's why I kind of skipped through them a little bit. Just about done with it. Purl 3, then knit 2, and I should have 6 left. 2, 4, 6, right, and then you knit the last 6. Oh, I caught a little piece right there. I want to catch it. There, because sometimes a stitch will split. Okay, there. Now I've got the first 4 rows done, and you can definitely see the texturing difference. All right, so now we're going to go to row 5. Let's move this up like that. Okay, row 5. We knit 6, purl 2, and then we start this repeat. It starts with a yarn over and ends with a purl 2. So let's turn it around and let's see. Knit 6. If I can catch the stitches right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, now we purl 2. And bring the yarn to the back. And now it says to yarn over, so even though the yarn's in the back, you want to wrap it around the needle one more time. That makes the yarn over. Let me go ahead and show you that. See, we finished with the purl, and you don't want to just do that. You can if you want to, or you can go to the back and then yarn over, whichever you prefer. It depends on how big of a hole you want. If you do this, the hole's going to be a lot bigger. If you just go like this, the hole won't be quite as big. So I'm going to do the first one this way so you can see what the hole looks like with that and what the hole looks like with that. So I'm going to start with just holding the yarn over. Then it says slip 1. And you always slip 1 as if to purl. Knit 2 together. You can see there's your yarn over right there. And then you pass the slip stitch over. That's what PSSO stands for. So we're going to pass the slip stitch over those 2 stitches. There. And that kind of gives you, if I can enlarge this a little bit, you can see that gives you this little bar right here. That's what this is. This is that little bar right here that you see. Okay. And then it says to yarn over. You can see when I did the yarn over, that put the yarn from the back to the front. And then it says to purl, so you have to take the yarn around the needle one more time to bring it to the front to purl. There. Okay, now we're going to repeat it again. So we're going to do a yarn over, which means we're going to just, this time we'll do it the other way. We'll put the yarn in the back and yarn over, slip one, knit two together, and pass that slip stitch, which is a little harder to get to this way. I guess that's why I like doing it the other way. That's kind of hard to catch, this slip stitch. And there's your little bar. Then you yarn over, purl two. Okay. So you see that gives us little holes on either side, and that gives us the little bar. Okay, let's do another one. Yarn over, slip one, knit two together, pass slip stitch, if you can grab it. That's why I don't like doing my yarn over this way, because that is a very difficult stitch to catch and pass over. And then yarn over, purl two, one, two. Okay, so this time I'm just going to do it the way I did before. I'm just going to let it fall over. Yarn over, slip one, knit two together, pass the slip stitch over. Oh yeah, that's much easier. Yarn over, purl two. Okay, so we're going to let the yarn go over, slip one, knit two together, pass the slip stitch over, then yarn over, purl two. Okay, we'll do it again. Leave the yarn, just kind of put the yarn over the needle, slip one as if to purl, knit two, pass slip stitch over, yarn over, purl two. Okay, whoops, I lost a stitch. Let me grab it before it totally falls off. I'm going to have to do it the other way. Take it all the way apart. There. And then kind of like do a fudge knit, and that brings it back up to where it belongs. That happens sometimes where your stitch actually falls off your needle. Okay, so we're going to slip one, knit two together, pass slip stitch over. Then we're going to wrap it around and purl two. Okay, we're going to do it again. Just let the yarn fall over the needle, slip one, knit two together, pass slip stitch over, purl two, just let the yarn hang over. We're not going to do it this way, we're just going to let it hang over. Slip one, knit two together, pass slip stitch over. You can see the slip stitch because it definitely looks different from a normal stitch. There it is. And then we do our purl, yarn over to do our two purls, because it says repeat to the last 6, and then knit 6. Oh, this time we can't let the yarn fall over. We actually have to put it to the back, because we have to actually knit these 6. If we let the yarn fall over, then we'd have that accidental yarn over we don't need at this particular point. There. Okay. So now you can see you've got, there's the bar, there's the bar, there's the bar, there's the bar, there's the bar. You can see the bar, it's there. And that's this little bar here, 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 and here. And that also gives you the holes, which you can see. And now we'll go to row 6, which looks like it's a repeat of row 2 and 4. So 2, 4, and 6 are the same thing. The only one that's different is row 5, and that's where we get the holes in this little bar here. So we knit 6. And knit 2. Bring the yarn in front and purl. Now we're going to purl that yarn over. It's going to look big and wonky, but we have to purl it. So purl 1, 2, 3, knit 2. Now there's actually 2 yarn overs here. No, just 1 yarn over, one here. And then purl the next 2 stitches. Knit 2. Purl the yarn over and the next 2 stitches. And we'll knit 2. Purl 3. Knit 2. We're about halfway done with the final roll of this pattern. 2, 3, knit 2, 1, 2, then we purl 3, and the 1 yarn over is one of your purls. It's like in the second pattern where we did the yarn over and then we had to knit it. Oh, we got a purl. Yarn over in each of these stitches. Somehow I got a yarn over that I'm not supposed to have right there. So when you make a boo-boo and you get a yarn over where you don't want one, just include it with the stitch right next to it. That's all I do, and it'll help it go away, because if you let it go, you're going to have a big hole there. So I just knit it together. That's the way I fix yarn overs once in a while when I get one where I'm not supposed to have one. And then purl 2. And then knit 2. Purl 3, and one of the purls is the yarn over. Knit 2. Now I should have 6 left over to knit the border, which I do. Okie dokie, there it is. See, now this is your front. The reason I know it's your front is because there's my cast-on tail. My cast-on tail is always on the right when I've finished the even row, like 2, 4, 6, or 8. So this would be the front of your work. And you can see the holes, you can see the little ridges here, because you got these little ridges here. There's one and there's one, and with the holes on either side of your ridges. And it looks like there's 4 stitches between each set of holes. See, there's a hole, 4 stitches in a hole. See, there's the hole, 4 stitches in another hole. So you know you're in the right place when you get those. So I'm going to go ahead and do several more. It says work 8 rows of the bluebell rib 7 more times, but there's not 8 rows, there's only 6 rows, so there's another little typo. So this really should say 6. Or 6 rows of the bluebell pattern for 7 more repeats. So we have to repeat this 7 more times. Or if it looks like it's too long, we only repeat it 6 more times. You won't know until you get there. Everybody's knitting habits are a little different. Some people need that 7th set in the pattern, which would be actually the 8th row, because 8th set, because we've already done one. Sometimes we only need 6 more because the 7th one makes it more out of square, more of a rectangle. It's entirely up to you which way you want to do it. I'm going to go ahead and do a few more rows of this so you can see how this comes together, and then we'll finish it. I've completed 2 complete patterns plus 2 rows of the next pattern. As you can see, it's starting to take shape. And if you look at the back, all the purl stitches line up like you would have on a rib, like a knit 2, purl 2 rib. The only variation is that one roll on the front side where you did the yarn overs and slip stitches. I can keep on going. I just want to give you an idea of what it's starting to look like. Now, if I had done it probably on a size 5 needle, then I don't have it with me, then it'd probably be a little tighter than it is here. Here's kind of loose because I did it on a 6 instead of doing it on a 5. But it's entirely up to you. If you want to do it on the 6 and have it more light and airy, you can. If you want to do it on 5 and make it a little more tight, you're more than welcome to do it that way. So I'm going to continue until I get a little further up, and then I'll show it to you again. Since this one's similar to doing a rib stitch, as you can tell on the back, it's really rib-like. It has a tendency to pucker in, so this one will definitely have to be blocked. So what I'm going to do is hold this here. Now this is on the edge of the fabric, paper. So as you can see, when I let it go, it shrinks. So I'm just going to put this across from the paper, and as you see, it winds up to be 10 inches. So this part has to be 10 inches. And as you see here, I'm only at 6. And I've gotten 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The pattern says do 7 repeats. So I've only done 6 repeats. So I still got 1 more, and then it says to do another one. So there's actually 2 left. So if I measure for 2 of them, that's roughly 1 1/4 inches, 1.5 inches. So if I add 1 1/4 inches to 1.5 inches, that'll take it to 8, and the thing has to be at least 10. So I may have to do 3 repeats instead of just 2 repeats. So let's do this. Let's count 3 repeats. 1, 2, 3 from here to here. That's a good 2 inches. So if I take 2 inches above here, that shows it's still 8 1/4, and then 1 inch takes it to 9 1/4. So it's still not a full 10 inches. So we'll have to see what happens. I'm going to go up and go as far as a total of 8 repeats and see what it looks like. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I got to do at least 1 more repeat. And I'll probably do 2 repeats. I'm going to go ahead and do 2. So if I do 2, that's, like I said, 1.5 inches. So if I add 1.5 inches here, that takes it to 8. So we definitely have to have it to 10 because we've already measured it this way and decided that it's 10 inches wide. If I hold this from edge of paper here, it's about 10 inches wide, and we want to make this as square as possible. So I may want to do an 8, possibly 9 repeats, because I really would like it to be a full square. So let me do a couple more, and we'll take another measurement and see where it lands. Okay, I have done everything here, and then I've repeated rows 1 through 5 once, and then knit 8 rows, decreasing 5 stitches evenly across the second row, and then bind off 54. So there is my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and there's the 9th one, which is this one right here, 1 through 5. So let's see what it comes up to. It's about 8 inches, so when I do the bottom, it'll take it up to 9, although I know this came out to 10, but it also depends on how far you block it. You know, if you only block it to 9, it would do 9. Now, if you wanted to go ahead and do 1 more and do another set up here to make it a full 10 by 10, you're more than welcome to. I'm just going to stop this one at this point. So the next thing it says to do is knit 8 rows. So I'm just going ahead and knit the first one, and then we're going to do the decrease roll. I know you know how to do this, but I really want to show it to someone who has not seen how I figured the decrease. It's the same as when I figured the decrease on the previous one I did. But you always got to remember, as you do these, when you get to your yarn overs, make sure you definitely knit your yarn overs, because you don't want to make a mistake and not knit them, because here's one right there. It looks like a mistake. Let me enlarge this. But it's not a mistake. It's actually a yarn over. Let me put this there, make it a little easier to see. So there's the yarn over, and we definitely want to knit it. Throughout the whole pattern, we've been purling them because its location is a purl, but since we're at the final 8 rows, we have to knit each of these, and that's what gives us our garter stitch border. Right now we've got 59 stitches, I believe, and we're going to decrease 5 over the next row, which will take it back down to the 54. And since we increased on, I think it was the 8th or 9th stitch, 8th stitch, I think, when we first started. So when we decrease, we're going to decrease over the 8th and 9th stitch together. And even if it makes it off by 1 or 2 at the end, it's not going to hurt anything because it's still fairly evenly balanced. But the increase count is always a little different than a decrease count. Also depends on what kind of an increase or decrease you do. On this one, my decrease is just a standard knit 2 together. We're just about there. Oh, yeah, we're really getting close. This will give us the ridge on the other side. Although I'm kind of wondering if I should have done 2 rolls, because this puts the ridge right on top of this. I don't really like that. I think there really should be at least 2 more rolls. Like down here we have the 2 rolls before we have the opening. I think we should do the same thing here. So I'm going to go ahead and take this out. I'm going to make a change in here where it says I'll do rows 1 through 5. I think I'll change this 5 to 1 through 6. And then we'll still see how this knit together, because it looks come up here. This will be a knit, and then the decrease will be on the back side. Okay, so let me see how that works. Let me take this out. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize I had this out of the site. Change this 5 to 6, so that way we do all 6 rows, and that will give us a nice repeat pattern. We might even just have them do repeat rows 1 through 6, and then row 1 once more, and roll 1 once more. That will put us back to where we were when we did this. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this out and do row 6 and do row 1 once more, and then I'll come back and we'll go ahead and start the decrease. Yep, adding those extra couple of rows up here really helped, because now the bottom with a few rows before the holes, and then the top a few rows after the holes, looks a little more balanced. Okay, so now the next one it said is to do the decreases on the second roll of the knit 8 row bind off. So we're going to knit 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we're going to knit these 2 together and knit 8 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we're going to knit 2 together. And we keep doing this all the way across. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Knit 2 together. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, knit 2 together. This will probably be the last one. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and knit 2 together. And that leaves me 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. So it works out really good with that number sequence. So take it all the way to the end. Okay, so that's row 2 of the knit. Let me cards that. Here we go. That's row 2 of the knit 8 rows, decreasing 5 stitches evenly across the second row, which I just did. So after I've done the 8 rows total, I bind off the 54 stitches which are left and weave into tails. And this one you're definitely going to have to block, because as you can see it really puckers in because it's a type of a rib stitch. So what you'll do is, however you like to block, what I like to do is get it set out, get it wet. I usually spray it with spritzer so it's damp, and then I put a book on top of it to hold it flat and let it dry overnight. And when I do that and when I take the book off, then it'll lay really nicely. Sometimes I have to do it twice, but that's what gives it its nice finished look without having to go through pinning and soaking it and all that other stuff that a lot of ladies like. But if you like to do that, then you're more than welcome to. Let me go ahead and get these last 6 rows done and we'll go from there. Okay, we're down to the very end. I've got this almost completely bound off. I like to bind off on the back side on this particular design because then you got a nicer looking edge on the front. So let me go ahead and finish binding this off. And then I'll show you what it looks like. So that way the front top looks the same as the front bottom. Otherwise the front top will have a different appearance, and I'll show you the difference once I get this last few stitches bound off. Down to 2. And after you get the last one bound off, I usually bring the thread up so I can put the tail through and pull it tight. Okay. Now when you look at the front top edge, you've got a nice edge that looks like the rest of it. And when you look at the bottom, same thing. It has the nice edge on the bottom. But now if you look on the back side, the back edge looks a little different. And the top has this extra little V shape to it, which doesn't give the same appearance. So that's why I like to bind it off on the back when I do these things, so that way my front has that real nice look. Now, at this point, you'd weave in your tails, of course, and you have to block this one. You don't always have to block each one of them, but this one really needs to be blocked. Let me go get my few little blocking supplies, and I'll show you how I do a quick blocking. Okay, I have my supplies. You need a heavy notebook that has a plastic coating on it, and some spray bottle of water. You spray it really good with water. You put enough water on to make it really damp, not soap, but just damp. And then use your hands and kind of tease it out to the size you want. And then set your book on top. That's all you have to do. Now, tomorrow morning we will take the book off and it'll be pretty well set, because what the water does, it relaxes the fibers. So after the fibers are relaxed, they're still slightly damp. But when you take the book off, they'll hold in their position and finish air drying. I usually make sure I leave my ceiling fan on. That way it'll help circulate the air and help it to dry a little faster. So we will come back and check this neat little one first thing tomorrow morning. Okay, let's see how it looks now. There, not too bad. Turned out really good. So this is what it looks like when it's completely done. And the back, of course, looks more like a rib stitch. Now I haven't woven the tails, but I'll do that next. But I just wanted to thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. And hit notifications so you'll get the next one when it's done. And share with your friends. I appreciate it. Thank you so much and have a good day.